The glowing halls of the Exodar welcomed Cerisa with an unsettling silence. As she stepped into its grandeur, her presence did not go unnoticed. Guards and occupants cast wary glances her way, their disdain unmistakable. Perhaps it was the imp at her side, its otherworldly form a stark contrast to the serene sanctity of the place. Cerisa, sensing the tension, lowered her gaze and pulled her hood tighter, striving to blend into the shadows of the crystalline halls. Her footsteps echoed faintly as she moved toward the vault of light. The path stretched ahead, illuminated by the soft hum of radiant crystals, their light starkly contrasting the darkness she once embraced. Cerisa quickened her pace, her mind focused on the meeting awaiting her. Finally, the towering figure of Prophet Velen came into view, standing amidst the brilliance of the vault.
Prophet Velen, I was told you wanted to speak with me. I heard that you had a troubling vision.
Cerisa, welcome. Your presence here is both timely and necessary. Be at ease, for you are among those who seek only what is best for our people.
Thank you, Prophet. It is an honor to stand before you. I am here to listen and learn.
My child, your dedication to our people is commendable. Yet, the path you have chosen, the dark path, carries troubling implications. Tell me, why have you embraced such power?
Prophet, I know of the vision you had, the war between light and darkness. I chose this path because I wanted to understand the darkness from within, to know its heart. When the war comes, I believe this knowledge will make me a stronger, more valuable fighter for our people.
Yes, my child, the vision is true. The war between light and darkness looms on the horizon. Yet, your way of viewing this conflict is unique.
Unique? I only wish to prepare for what is to come, to ensure our people are not caught unready.
Your intentions are noble, Cerisa, but your choice carries risks. Channeling dark energy, even for a cause as just as yours, could bring the very darkness you seek to understand into our midst.
I would never harm the Draenei, Prophet. My power is a tool, and I have learned to control it.
Perhaps, but this energy is untested among our people. It has never been wielded by a Draenei before. Its implications are vast, and I fear that one so young may find its burdens too great to bear.
Prophet, I understand the weight of this power, and I have trained to bear it. I have faced the shadows and emerged stronger. I can wield it with discipline and purpose for the good of our people.
The darkness does not simply allow itself to be controlled, my child. It whispers, it tempts, and it corrupts. No matter how strong your will, its burden grows heavier with time, until it consumes even the most disciplined. But there is another way. The elements, fire, water, earth, and air, are powerful allies. They do not corrupt. They empower. They offer harmony where the shadows bring discord. You stand at a crossroads, Cerisa. Will you carry the weight of a power that isolates you, or will you embrace the strength that connects you to the world around you? The choice is yours, but it will shape not just your future, but the fate of those who look to you for guidance.
Cerisa stood silent, her thoughts a whirlwind of doubt and realization. The Prophet's words lingered in her mind, piercing through her defenses. He was right. Each day, it grew harder to hold the darkness at bay. The whispers in her dreams were relentless, their voices growing stronger. Even the demons she summoned had begun to strain against her control, their chaotic nature threatening to slip free. What if she lost her grip entirely? What if her power, meant to protect, became a force of harm? She looked up at the Prophet, his calm and steady gaze meeting hers. He did not press her for an answer, sensing the conflict raging within her. Instead, he waited patiently, his presence a quiet assurance. After a long moment, Cerisa lowered her head and gave a small nod. The decision was made.
You are right, Prophet. It would be arrogance to claim that I can remain in control of these dark powers forever. Then, what is the way forward?
You can choose the path of the elements, my child. Fire, water, earth, and air. They are not forces to be controlled, but allies to be respected. They will grant you strength without the corruption, power without the whispers. This path is not without its challenges, but it is one of harmony and balance.
And how am I going to learn such power, Prophet?
There is only one way, my child. A Naru can guide you on this path. And to your fortune. O Rose, a beacon of light and wisdom, traveled with us on the Exodar.
Then please guide me, Prophet. Tell me what I must do.
Go to the seat of the Naru and stand before O Rose. Ask for guidance, and the Naru will show you the way forward. Trust in its wisdom, Sarisa.
Ceresa nodded to the prophet and turned to leave the Vault of Light. Though his words had convinced her, she couldn't shake the lingering thought. She had done so much good with the powers she had acquired. The whispers began then, a strange, guttural language that seemed to pierce her very heart. She stopped in her tracks, glancing around before her gaze settled on the imp by her side. No, there was no one. The sound was in her head. Was this what the prophet had warned her about? The demonic power does not let go. It consumes all who walk its path. She took a breath and resumed her steps, each one heavier than the last. As she neared the seat of the Naru, the voices grew stronger, their tone darker, their words incomprehensible. Ceresa stopped again, her knees buckling as she sat down for a moment, hoping to silence the voices. But they did not stop. If anything, they clawed at her resolve. But a Drengai's soul is not so easily dragged into the abyss. With newfound determination, she stood. She turned to her imp, dismissing the creature in a flash of fading shadow. It would only be a hindrance for what was to come. Then, as if drawn by an unseen force, she started running, her hooves echoing in the quiet halls as she made her way to the ship's core. Finally, the pathway ended and she saw it, Oros, a being unlike anything she had ever encountered. A pure, radiant pattern of light floated serenely before her, its hum filling the air. The sound was beautiful, soothing, almost melodic. Ceresa approached slowly, her steps faltering as she drew closer. She stood there, unsure of what to do next. The hum seemed to change, its tone shifting. For a moment, it felt as though the Naru was speaking to her, welcoming her, understanding her reason for being here. Overwhelmed, Ceresa fell to her knees, the weight of her journey and her decision bearing down on her.
Wise one, how can I leave the path of darkness and embrace the elements?
The only path that leads to the elemental power is shamanism.
Can I adopt that path?
The path of the elemental shaman is for all who seek balance and harmony. It is yours to take, if you choose.
How can I adopt that path?
I can transform you, Ceresa. The elements will guide you from there, but the path will be yours to walk.
I am ready. Please, show me the way.
The geometric patterns of Oros began to shift. Its radiant form swirling in mesmerizing patterns of light. The hum grew louder, resonating with a deep and melodic tone that seemed to fill the very air around them. Ceresa felt a warmth envelop her, as though the elements themselves were reaching out to embrace her. The shadowy remnants of her old power faded, dissolving into nothingness. In their place, a new energy surged through her, a vibrant, harmonious force that resonated with fire, water, earth, and air. As the hum softened and the light settled, Cerisa stood transformed. No longer bound to the path of darkness, she was now an elemental shaman, her heart and spirit aligned with the forces of the natural world.
The path is yours to choose, Cerisa. Stay wise and pure, and the elements will always guide you.
Cerisa nodded respectfully to Olrose and turned to leave. As she stepped away, she paused and looked back, her gaze lingering on the radiant form of the Naru. A thought flickered in her mind, unspoken. Before she turned once more and began her walk out of the core. Reaching the upper levels of the Exodar, she headed to the Flight Master and prepared for her journey back to Azure Watch. As the Griffin carried her through the skies, her mind swirled with new energy and a strange, unfamiliar feeling, a quiet sense of peace. When she landed at Azure Watch, Cerisa immediately felt a shift in the way others looked at her. Their eyes no longer held the suspicion and unease she had grown accustomed to. Instead, there was something new, a quiet appreciation, an acknowledgement that she had left behind the path of demonic power. For the first time in a long while, Cerisa felt a sense of belonging, and with it, the certainty that she had chosen the right path. As Cerisa stepped back into the familiar grounds of Azure Watch, her thoughts were focused on the newfound powers she now wielded. She was no longer bound by the shadows, but the elemental energy coursing through her was untamed, untested. If she was to truly help her people, she needed to understand this new strength. Her path led her to Exarch Menelaus, the Draenei leader whose presence commanded both respect and reassurance. As she approached, the Exarch turned toward her, his expression unreadable at first. But as his eyes fell upon her, there was a flicker of relief, a silent acknowledgement of her transformation. Yet his calm demeanor remained unshaken, as though the weight of leadership allowed him no space for outward emotion.
Cerisa, I am glad to see you have embraced the elements. It is a path of harmony and great potential. However, the powers you now wield are untested. To truly understand what you are capable of, you must use your abilities and explore the depths of your connection to the elements.
Exarch, I understand. Please guide me. Where should I begin to understand and harness these powers?
The Exarch paused, his gaze thoughtful as he considered Cerisa's request.
Cerisa, you've survived the wilds of our new home and proven yourself capable. You're ready to take on more.
Thank you, Exarch. What would you have me do?
The Hand of Argus needs skilled Draenei on the front lines of Bloodmist. Your abilities could make a real difference there.
Blood Mist? What should I do there?
Report to Toralius the Pack Handler. He's outside the Exodar, tending to the Elec. He'll give you the details and guide you toward your new duties.
I'll go at once. Thank you for trusting me with this.
May the light guide you, Cerisa. Bloodmist will test you, but I believe you're ready.
Cerisa climbed onto the Griffin and soared through the skies toward the Exodar. The wind rushed past her, carrying the weight of her thoughts. The Exarchar's words echoed in her mind as she approached her next challenge. Upon landing, Cerisa made her way to the Elec Pens, where Toralius the Pack Handler stood, his attention focused on the majestic creatures under his care. As she approached, he adjusted his eye patch and turned to face her.
This is the best we can offer the Hand of Argus?
Ceresa's brow furrowed slightly at the remark. It wasn't the warmest welcome, and it hinted at doubts about her capabilities. Still, she held her composure, choosing not to react outwardly.
I will do my best to assist in any way I can.
Is he crazy? Entrusting something like this to some no-named Draenei youngling. Just remember this, kid. You'll never make it as a Hand of Argus. You don't have the guts. I guess I'll have to humor him this time. Speak with Vorkon at Kessel's Crossing on Bloodmist Isle. Just follow the road north from here, and when it forks, just keep on going north.
Ceresa did not take Toralius's comments lightly. His words stung, but she kept her expression calm, refusing to let him see the fire they ignited within her. She knew her worth, what she had endured to wield the Warlock's powers, and the trials she faced when the Naaru transformed her. Her resolve was unshaken. Without a word, Ceresa turned and began heading north, following the directions Toralius had given. The road stretched ahead, winding through the quiet landscape of Azuramist. After some time, she reached a bridge. Its architecture was unlike anything she had seen before, ancient, delicate, and unmistakably elven. The stone seemed to hum faintly, as though it remembered its creators. Crossing the bridge, Ceresa spotted a small camp near the road. A Draenei stood at its center, flanked by two others, with a group of Elex tied nearby. This must be Vorkon. Ceresa approached, her focus set on the task ahead.
Vorkon, I was sent here to assist.
Well, you made it this far. Let's put you to work before you get too bloodied up.
Ceresa stood silently, waiting for Vorkon to give her instructions. The words of Toralius still lingered in her mind, but she kept her focus on the task ahead.
One thing we've learned in our travels is that extreme care must be taken when introducing wildlife from one world to another. When the Exodar crashed, it was carrying specimens of various outland species, including an insectoid predator called the Ravager. Some of the specimens were lost, but many others survived and took to the wild. If we don't keep them in check, they will upset the natural balance here on the islands. You'll find these Ravagers to the west of Kessel's Crossing near the coast. Go and ensure they are dealt with.
Ceresa began her journey west, her thoughts circling back to the Exarchot's words. Bloodmist will test your skills. She wondered how much of a test this task would prove to be. She had encountered Ravagers before, vicious insectoids, with sharp mandibles and relentless aggression. Back then, she wielded the overwhelming power of the Dark Forces, a weapon that made her feel untouchable. Now things were different. The elements were said to be even more powerful, but they demanded balance and understanding. Ceresa had not yet mastered this new power, and the uncertainty gnawed at her resolve. This was her first true test as a shaman, and she knew it would push her limits. Ceresa quickened her pace, the sound of the coast growing louder as she neared her destination. Reaching the Ravager's territory, Ceresa closed her eyes and called upon the power of Earth. The ground beneath her shifted slightly, and a protective barrier formed around her, a testament to the elements answering her call. With her shield in place, she scanned the area and spotted a Ravager prowling near the underbrush. Focusing her energy, she channeled the power of fire. A burst of molten lava erupted from her hands, striking the creature with devastating force. As the Ravager staggered, she followed swiftly with a surge of lightning. The crackling energy coursed through the beast, ending its life in an instant. Ceresa moved with determination, subduing one Ravager after another. Each strike strengthened her connection to the elements, her confidence growing with every encounter. After ensuring the Ravagers were dealt with, Cereza turned back toward the camp. Her steps were steady, her heart carrying the weight of the test she had faced and overcome.
Well done, Cereza. The Ravager population will bear watching for some time to come, but we've made a good start.
Forkan's words barely registered, as Cereza walked past him and settled by the campfire. The flickering flames drew her gaze, their dance reflecting the storm of emotions within her. The elements had answered her call, their power flowing through her with a raw, untamed force. It was unlike anything she had felt before, even when she wielded the dark energies of the Fel. This was different, natural, vibrant, alive. The heat reminded her of the battle, the fire she had unleashed against the Ravagers, the earth that shielded her, and the lightning that struck with unrelenting precision. But as she sat in silence, another thought crept into her mind. This power, as exhilarating as it was, felt vast and unyielding. She could feel its weight, its potential to heal or destroy. And with that came a fear of wielding something so immense, so primal. What if she failed to control it? What if the power she now wielded consumed her, much like the dark forces she had left behind? The thought lingered, a shadow on the edge of her growing connection to the elements.